The most profound shift in any relationship doesn't begin with a conversation. It begins the moment you choose to stop trying to force one. What if the secret to making someone truly see you isn't in moving closer, but in creating a meaningful distance? What if their change of heart is not sparked by your pursuit, but by your purposeful withdrawal? This might be the most counterintuitive truth about human connection you will ever learn. After years of observing the patterns that bind and liberate people, a central theme emerges. Human psychology is wired not to cherish what is always within reach, but to subconsciously assign immense value to what requires effort, respect, and space to obtain. This isn't about childish games. It's about the fundamental architecture of desire and respect. Let's call it the principle of focused energy. When you pour all of your attention, anxiety, and hope into another person, you create an unintended signal. You broadcast a subtle message of dependency. Their subconscious mind registers this, and a dangerous devaluation begins. Why? Because the human brain instinctively questions the worth of anything that seems overly available, overly eager, or overly invested without clear reciprocity. Your constant presence becomes emotional background noise. But here is where the dynamic completely flips. The moment you stop, the moment you cease the anxious monitoring of texts, the over-analysis of tones, the mental rehearsals of conversations, you initiate a silent but powerful psychological event. Your absence creates a vacuum, and nature, including human nature, abhors a vacuum. Suddenly, you are no longer a predictable source of validation. You become a question mark. Where did their energy go? Why aren't they reacting? What are they focusing on now? This space, this quiet, is where curiosity is born. And curiosity is the precursor to genuine appreciation. Your withdrawal forces a recalibration. It makes your previous presence, which may have been taken for granted, suddenly visible in its absence. Think of emotional energy as a form of currency. When you spend it lavishly and indiscriminately on someone who isn't investing back, you deplete your own reserves and paradoxically decrease the perceived value of your attention. But when you become a wise investor, when you pull your energy back and redirect it into your own growth, your peace, your passions, you become scarce. And scarcity, by its very nature, creates value. This isn't about punishing someone, it's about honoring yourself. It's about realizing that your most magnetic state is not one of need, but one of wholeness. You teach people how to value you by where you place your own focus. When your focus is firmly on building a life you love, independent of their approval, you stop leaking power. You stop seeking permission to exist fully. And here is the magnetic result. People are instinctively drawn to those who radiate a quiet, self-contained certainty. They are drawn to those who don't need them, but who might choose them. That energy is undeniable. It communicates strength, boundaries, and a deep, unshakable sense of self-worth. So let's dismantle the first critical mechanism, the psychology of scarcity and abundance. Why does pulling back often trigger a leaning in? The answer lies in our primal wiring. Our minds are not sophisticated value calculators in matters of emotion. They use simple, ancient heuristics. One of the most powerful is this: if it's always there, it must not be rare. If it's not rare, it cannot be precious. When you are perpetually available emotionally or physically, you become part of someone's assumed landscape. Like air or gravity, your presence is functional but unnoticed. But the moment you step out of that role, the moment you are no longer the constant initiator, the reassuring voice, the safety net, you disrupt that assumption. You transition from being a part of their environment to being an active agent with your own autonomy. This triggers a cognitive dissonance. Wait, I thought they would always be there. That single thought is the crack in the wall of taking you for granted. From that crack, questions grow. Questions lead to attention. Attention, when finally given freely rather than assumed, is the soil where real value can take root. But this only works if your pullback is authentic. It cannot be a tactic. It must be a transition. You aren't pretending to be busy. You are becoming engaged with your own life. You aren't feigning indifference. You are genuinely redirecting your care toward your own well-being. People can sense the difference between strategy and serenity. One feels manipulative. The other feels powerfully grounded. Now we must address the core, the energy dynamic. Envision a dance. If one person is always leading, always pulling, always directing the movement, the other person never has to learn the steps, never has to invest their own balance, never has to feel the music for themselves. They become a passive participant. A relationship in any form is a dynamic exchange of energy. When you are doing all the emotional labor, initiating, planning, reassuring, accommodating, you create an imbalance. The other person subconsciously settles into the role of the receiver. There is no tension, no balance, and therefore no real engagement. But when you step back, When you stop leading every single step, the dance floor changes. Suddenly, they must feel the music. They must find their own footing. They must decide if they want to step forward or let the dance end. This is not you abandoning the connection. This is you creating the necessary space for them to participate in it. This space is where accountability is born. It is where a person is confronted with their own level of interest. Were they enjoying the dance, or were they just enjoying being led? Your withdrawal provides the answer. And often, when faced with that quiet space, a person who genuinely values the connection will lean in. They will meet you. Not because you guilted or pressured them, but because the space you created allowed them to hear their own desire to close it. This leads us to the most important pillar of all, the foundation of self-worth. Everything we've discussed collapses if it is not built upon this bedrock. Your ability to pull back effectively is not a technique you apply to others. It is a natural outpouring of the value you have assigned to yourself. Self-worth is the silent, non-negotiable standard you set for how you expect to move through the world. It is not arrogance shouting, "I am better than you." It is a quiet certainty that whispers, "I am enough as I am, and I will not negotiate my peace to prove it to you." This inner standard communicates itself in every interaction, often without a single word being spoken. How do you build this? You build it through action. Every time you choose to honor a personal boundary, you build it. Every time you walk away from a dynamic that drains you, you build it. Every time you invest in your own growth instead of trying to fix someone else's indifference, you build it. You are, brick by brick, constructing an inner citadel that cannot be easily shaken by external approval or rejection. When your sense of worth is internalized, a miraculous shift occurs. You stop seeking validation and start offering presence. You stop asking, "Do they like me?" and start asking, "Do I feel respected here?" This shift in focus is seismic. It changes your posture, your tone, your energy, and people respond to this energy differently. They either rise to meet the standard of respect you've embodied, or they reveal themselves as incapable of doing so. Both outcomes are a win for you. This brings us to a crucial distinction: the art of detachment. Detachment is widely misunderstood. It is not coldness. It is not indifference. True emotional detachment is the practice of caring deeply from a place of internal abundance rather than clinging desperately from a place of internal lack. Imagine you are a deep, clear lake. The other person's actions, moods, and choices are like stones thrown into the water. When you are attached and anxious, you are a shallow pond. Every stone creates turbulent waves that rock your entire being. You are reactive, churned up, and cloudy. When you are detached and centered, you are the deep lake. The stone still enters, the ripples still form, but they travel across a vast, calm depth and eventually dissipate without disturbing your core stillness. You observe the impact, but you are not defined by it. Detachment is the ability to love, to offer, to connect without handing over the keys to your own inner peace. It is understanding that you cannot control another person's feelings or actions, but you have absolute sovereignty over your own response and where you invest your priceless energy. Your peace is not a prize for someone else to win or lose. It is your native state to protect. When you master this, you stop trying to manage someone else's emotional experience. You release the exhausting burden of trying to make someone feel a certain way about you. This release is not giving up. It is growing up. It is the recognition that your job is not to convince someone of your worth, but to live in such a way that your worth is self-evident. Now let's examine the practical shift, the reclamation of your narrative. What does this look like in daily life? It means when you feel the old urge to send that checking in text born of anxiety, you pause. You ask yourself, am I acting from a place of fullness or fear? It means redirecting that energy into an activity that nurtures you, a walk, a chapter of a book, working on a personal goal. It means when you are tempted to over-explain or justify your boundaries, you simply state them calmly and allow the silence that follows to be the other person's responsibility to navigate. It means taking the mental bandwidth you used to spend dissecting their behavior and investing it in a skill, a hobby, or a friendship that reciprocates your energy. This is not about becoming passive. It is about becoming proactive with your own life. You are the author, and you have just decided to stop writing side character parts for yourself in someone else's story. You are reclaiming the pen and drafting your own epic. In doing so, you initiate the most powerful filter known to relational dynamics. You automatically filter out those who are only interested in the convenience of your attention, the ego boost of your pursuit, or the emotional labor you provided without cost. Their exit is not a loss. It is the clearing of space. Conversely, you create a gravitational pull for those who are attracted to integrity, self-respect, and wholeness. These individuals are not threatened by your strength, they are drawn to it. They see your boundaries not as walls, but as the clear architecture of a person who knows who they are. We must also confront the human drive for autonomy. Every person possesses a fundamental, often subconscious, need for self-direction and freedom. The moment they feel pressured, obligated, or overly needed, a resistance builds. It's not necessarily about you, it's about their innate wiring to protect their sense of agency. When you are constantly pursuing, you inadvertently apply that pressure. You create an invisible field of expectation. Even if your intentions are pure, the other person can feel the weight of your hope. That weight can feel like an obligation, and obligation is the enemy of authentic desire. But when you detach, when you focus on your own autonomy, you implicitly grant them theirs. You communicate through your actions. You are free. Your choices are your own. This paradoxical gift of freedom is what makes people feel safe enough to choose you voluntarily. Love and commitment that feel like a free choice are infinitely more powerful and enduring than those that feel like a negotiation or a trap. So what is the ultimate outcome of this entire process? It is a state of unshakable equilibrium. Whether the other person leans in or walks away becomes almost secondary. Why? Because your center of gravity is no longer tethered to their decisions. Your happiness, your worth, your peace are anchored within you. If they lean in, they are meeting a version of you that is whole, not needy. They are engaging with your strength, not your scarcity. This sets the stage for a healthier, more balanced connection from the start. If they walk away, they have simply answered the question you no longer needed to ask aloud. Are you capable of meeting the standard of a mutually respectful dynamic? Their departure is the answer, and it is a gift of clarity. It frees you from a cycle of hope and disappointment and directs your energy toward those who are truly capable of connection. This is why, when you truly stop caring from a place of lack and start caring for yourself from a place of abundance, you cannot lose. You either gain a healthier dynamic with someone who steps up, or you gain your own freedom, clarity, and peace. Both are profound victories. The journey, therefore, is an inward one. It is not about changing someone else's mind. It is about undergoing such a radical transformation within your own mind that the external world, including how people treat you, cannot help but reflect that change back to you. You stop seeking permission to be valued and start embodying your value so completely that it becomes the new normal for how you are treated. You become the calm in the storm, the depth in the shallow, the person who knows that the most powerful action is sometimes a purposeful, peaceful inaction. Your energy is your most precious resource. Where you place it determines the reality you experience. Stop spending it on convincing others of your worth. Start investing it in living a life that is, in itself, a statement of worth. When you do this, a fascinating alignment occurs. The people who are meant for you will find their way to your frequency. The ones who aren't will fade into the background, and you will be left not with the anxiety of whether someone chooses you, but with the profound peace of knowing you have chosen yourself. And that is the most powerful choice of all. If this perspective on reclaiming your energy and power resonated with you, please support this channel. Leave a like for Winds of Thought and subscribe for more insights into mastering the psychology of your own life.